All right, wanted to do a video today on preparing for the fall, whether it's your turf grass, your landscape like your shrubs, perhaps small trees. This video is being recorded in September of 2023, so there will be some information that's more pertinent to what we're going through right now in central Mississippi. And I certainly want it to be pertinent to this time, but I also want it to be something that you can access anytime you want to be reminded this time of year. The one reason I created this YouTube channel was for my customers as well as my employees. When it's September or when it's the certain time of year, hey, there's videos on this, because what I've learned after being in this industry for this many years is that there's a lot of repetitiveness. Every year I've caught myself saying the same things. And so if you don't know this yet, I do have playlists on this channel that you can go and look up when it's spring, when it's summer, when it's fall, if you want to look at weed identification. And so there's different videos that are categorized purposefully, intentionally, so that you can go and access them any time of year for the related topic. So all that being said, please be aware of that and know that this is going to be made with that kind of mindset of something I want it to be, things that you can be reminded of every September. Let's start off by talking about fertilizer. A lot of people ask every year, hey, are y'all going to put out winterizer? It always makes me smile, because it's just fun to try to decipher what people mean when they say what they say. And I just love the old-timey mindset of putting out winterizer. It's just fun and kind of takes me back to people that I know live out in the country and putting out winterizer. But what is winterizer? You tell me. If what you mean by that is weed control, then yes, we definitely put out winterizer. We're going to winterize your lawn. But winterizer in the broader agricultural circles is going to be referring to fertilizer. And do we put out fertilizer on shrubs? Yes, we do, and I'll talk about some of that more in this video. By the way, I want to talk about fertilizer, putting out ryegrass, how long should you water on a per day basis this time of year, as well as how far into the season should you water, how far into the fall. Looking out for fungus issues in the yard, and then expectations if you have dead grass. What should you be thinking if you had that? But back to the point of fertilizer. Should you put it out? Should you hire somebody to put it out? Central Mississippi, we just don't get really cold winters to justify it. People who've been doing this for longer than I have, I've heard it from two different specific guys, one who's been doing it for over 40 years, another guy who's been doing it for over 20 years. I've been doing it for about 13, by the way, so that you can put the proper amount of weight on my words. But I really lean more on those two guys' experiences that they've both told me, and one's from Mississippi, one's from Alabama, that they've seen no difference in the yards that they put out winterizer, fertilizer, and the yards that they didn't. The ones they did and the ones they didn't see a difference. And so in an attempt to help my customers put out or be charged for the least amount of treatments as possible, hey, what are the least amount of treatments we can do to make the biggest difference? We don't put fertilizer out on yards. And it makes sense from a nitrogen standpoint, which is the number one nutrient that's needed by grass and shrubs and trees. You don't want to put out nitrogen fertilizer specifically, because in central Mississippi, in the southeastern United States, the entire southern United States, things that warm season plants, such as warm season grasses, shrubs and trees that grow in the warm weather, they don't grow. They don't need nitrogen. They don't need that nutrient, which is what is composed of most fertilizers, in the cold times of the year. So perhaps I belabored that point, but now you have the full story. That's why we don't put it out. It's not that all winterizer is necessarily unneeded. I do believe a lot of what happens in lawn care especially in the big box stores, is people think they need it and so they sell it to them. But and it's not just 100% unjustifiable in that, like, especially if it has potassium in it, which is the third number. You have nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and like triple 13, that's 13% nitrogen, 13% phosphorus, 13% potassium. My agriculture guys would maybe have a little pushback. That's an oversimplification, but just roll with it, okay? That third number is the percent of potassium. And potassium is the main thing for root growth. It's the main nutrient that helps root growth. And you know, the further north you get in the United States, the more you do need that protection for winter kill. You need stronger root system. A typical winter here in central Mississippi, we just don't get that type of winter kill that you can tell that the added potassium actually helped the grass any more than just normal turf grass that's out there that doesn't have that potassium added. That said, grass is under stress right now because we've been in a drought. We're still in a drought right now. It's September 23rd today. We essentially haven't had rain for 2 full months, a little over 2 months now. Some areas maybe got a sprinkle or two, but as an area, we've gotten no rain in 2 months. There's dead grass everywhere. You might can tell in the video, in the grass behind me. I haven't watered this yard particularly because I want to see what my customers who don't water are going to experience. I'd like to see it firsthand myself. Here at our office, this is our part of our lawn in our backyard. But nevertheless, it is under stress. But then it's like, okay, so maybe we do need potassium this year. Maybe we do need a winterizer to help the roots growth. Well, guess what? Okay, it would be better than nothing, but also watering though is better than adding potassium, better than adding fertilizer to your yard. If you want to do something that's going to be the best way to prepare for the winter, add water. This grass right here behind me needs water way more than it needs a winterizer. If you're dedicated to watering and have some potassium you'd like to add to it, I say, hey, go for it. We can do that for you if you want us to. Call us, let us know, send us an email. But only if you have reason to want to do that, whether it's, you know, room in your budget, or you just have a reason that you really want to make sure your grass has all that it needs. We're open to that, but we just have to think as a company, what do most people need, and most people don't need that, so we don't make everybody get that treatment as part of the normal program. Sorry if that was too long, but that's the full spiel on winterizer, on fertilizer. For shrubs, by the way, I used to not be a big promoter of fertilizer in shrubs in the fall. I still stand by that from a nitrogen standpoint, again, just like I talked about with the turf grass. But I will say, I've noticed over the years, new growth in shrubs not only happens in the spring, but it happens this time of year, especially when it's getting plenty of water. And so if you do want some accelerated growth on your shrubs for whatever reason, let us know. We can add some shrub fertilizer to help get those going, to get you some more growth right now. And so let us know if you have any questions about that as well. Also, feel free to make a comment on this video. Let's move to ryegrass. Ryegrass, do you need to put it out? Should I put it out? Why do people put it out? I'm going to try to make this quick because I just talked a long time about fertilizer. I'll probably at some point, I'm sure I will, do a separate video on ryegrass. As a matter of fact, I might have already. I'm going to have to study my previous videos to see what I've done. But ryegrass, people put it out because they want green all winter. Just don't forget, if you're going to have to mow it, or you're going to have to pay someone to mow it. Does it look better? Most people would say yes. Is it worth it? Most people would say no. And I say that because most people don't put it out. There are some people that either have the time themselves or the money in their budget to pay somebody to do it. And so in those situations, yes, go ahead and do it. Let us know, by the way, if you're going to do it. If you have a different lawn care provider, make sure they know, because it is a different approach on weed control if somebody has ryegrass as opposed to if they don't put out ryegrass in the fall. I'm not a ryegrass expert, but I will say that I do know that this is the time of year, late September, October, when you need to put it out. and you need to really lean heavily upon the person that the company that you buy it from to get their recommendations, because there's different types of ryegrass as to the different detail specifics that are involved with that, as far as the timing and watering and all that kind of stuff. How long should you water your yard? How long meaning like how long into the season, or how long when I do water? It's the same story that I always tell you guys as far as on a per instance basis. If you watered and you go out there the next day and it's bone dry, you didn't water it enough. And so I'm going to leave that part, and I'm going to go to the next part of that question, which is, should I keep watering? It's late September. The answer is, right now in 2023, yes, absolutely, because we're still in a drought. The different water associations will let you know when the level of the water tables are getting critical and you don't need to do it, or you need to do it at the certain times that they say is a good time to do it. But until told otherwise, for the sake of your investment in the stewardship that you've been given to keep your lawn healthy for all the different reasons lawns are good things to have, you do need to be watering it. You do need to be doing it as long as it's green and you're in a drought. Now, once we start getting to at some point in October, after you water in the fall treatment, that's when I always tell people to cut your irrigation system off. Again, this year in the drought is the one that I'm a little hesitant to say that, because if it extends and it continues, water is the biggest thing that keeps your grass healthy, not fertilizer. I'd say sunshine is right up there with water, but that's just a constant, thankfully. But watering is the thing that you really need to be on guard for. I know that's not a straightforward answer, but I'll just take the drought out of the picture. After your fall weed treatment, that's when you can turn your irrigation system off. What if you're somebody who doesn't get your fall weed treatment until November 1st? Because some people get it September 15th, some people don't get it till closer to November 1st. Well, I would say that in October, as soon as the cool weather gets here. Right now our days are still getting up to 90, 92, and so if I could just make a more simple statement, once the temperatures, when we're no longer going to be seeing the lower 90s, your grass is no longer going to be under stress, and in a typical normal year, that's the time when you can turn it off. And so again, let me know if you have any questions about that. The sunnier it is, the more sun that you're getting, the more high clay content, the higher clay content that you have. Those are all situations where you might need to water more than somebody else. That's the fun thing about agriculture and owning a lawn, owning plants and property, is that there's always things to learn. I'm learning all the time, every year. The guys I know who've been doing it for decades, they all say the same thing. They're still learning. So this video hopefully will help you in that process of always trying to learn and get better at what you're doing and what you have that you're trying to take care of. I'll say real quick, fungicides in a droughted year, even if it's not a droughted year, but especially in a droughted year, these turf grasses, centipede, but especially St. Augustine, are going to be more susceptible to disease than normal. But please always keep an eye out from mid September all the way through around mid to late November, sometimes even into mid-December. When you see these little spots that are starting in St. Augustine and then they get bigger, that means you have a turf grass disease, and before that really takes over and kills a lot of your yard. Be mindful of that as you're leaving your driveway. Make a purposeful effort on the weekends to walk around the yard and look for those things, and let us know if you're seeing those spots. Last subject, dead grass expectation. So what should you do if you have dead grass? You should be ready for a lot of weeds in the spring. You should try to go ahead and if it's anything bigger than for centipede, if it's anything bigger than a square foot, I would go ahead and get it resodded, because centipede is going to be super slow next year in April and May. April and May is when it's going to start sending those runners back out, and most centipede in most places just doesn't grow very fast. And this year particularly, there's more dead grass going into the fall than ever. But you need to go ahead and get on a landscaper schedule to get some new sod, or go ahead and be considering when you can do it yourself, because it's going to be a really busy 2024. But nevertheless, regardless of what year you're watching this, please know that if you have dead grass going into the fall, you really need to be thinking about getting it resodded. And then the question is, okay, when's the best time to do that? For me, I always prefer March and April, but there's some years that you have to really get on schedule before them, because when you're coming out of a drought, everybody's going to be wanting it in March and April, and the landscapers are going to be really stretched, and you're going to have a hard time getting on their schedule. I've had landscapers tell me that they put outside every month of the year with success, and so it's hard to buck against that. They do it, and the good ones, hold themselves accountable for what they do. And so if they say they can do it and they'll do it with success, then you need to let them go ahead and do that. The hot time, the summertime, is really the worst time of year, and we're out of that now, thankfully. But just please take note of that and try to go ahead and help those areas, so that way the spring will be more pleasant and won't be so chaotic from a weed control standpoint. I'm going to go ahead and end there. This was a much longer video than I had anticipated, and I could have taken some information out, but then it would have been less informative. And so I hope that helps. Like this video to support our efforts here, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and please leave me a comment with any questions. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day and a happy fall. It's wonderful out here.